Okay, hello, my name's Katy Andrews. I'm a local resident and I've taken an interest in the marshes here for a long time. I'm standing at the entrance to Leyton Marshes, but as you can see, the Lee Valley Regional Park have called it the entrance to Walthamstow Marshes, which are a mile away. This is just symptomatic of the way in which Leyton Marshes are being developed, privatised, industrialised and obliterated from the map. Okay, this is the main part of Leyton Marshes. It's also known as Porter's Field historically. There are other parts to it because it's been cut in half over the centuries, first by the Lea Bridge Road and then by the railway through the Lee Valley to Cambridge. Until 1905, this was known as Lummersland, and it was open marshland and it was used for grazing, mostly cattle, but Elliot Verdon Rowe, when he was flying his aircraft here, mentions that he had to avoid goats once when landing, so it was certainly being grazed in 1911 as well. There are records of it being grazed at that time. But some of the marsh was already being used for recreational purposes, and by 1905 the residents of Leyton had asked if their Lemmus rights could be commuted, which means exchanged, from the right of grazing to the right of free access in perpetuity for the purposes of relaxation and their own enjoyment. And that was granted by Parliament and came into force in 1905. So from then on, this land was open and free for the people to use. In the 1960s, it was thought that we were going to have a leisure society where machines would do all the work and everyone would drive everywhere. And it was decided that people would need leisure pursuits. So the Lee Valley Regional Park Authority was set up to manage and develop a regional park along the Lee Valley, 26 miles long, as a place for wildlife conservation and also for people to enjoy themselves. That began by the compulsory purchase of a certain amount of land, including, unfortunately, almost all of Leyton Marshes and all of this bit. One of the first things they did was build an ice rink, which is just next to me. The other thing they did was put in a riding school. The riding school, unfortunately, is now a riding centre. It's completely blocked off to the public by electrified wiring, by barbed wire, by fences, and it's used almost entirely for livery purposes, which means rich people keep their horses there. There are a few ponies that are used for trekking and teaching, but most of those are across where the golf course was. That was another thing they put in. That's on the other side of Lea Bridge Road. The golf course was meant to reopen after the Olympics when it was used for camping by about 6 tents. It was never reopened, and now it's been turned into yet more paddocking for yet more horses. The final part of Leyton Marshes, what's left of it, has actually been renamed Marsh Lane Fields at the whim of the council leader Chris Robbins, without any consultation with the public or even his own cabinet, has now been renamed Leyton Jubilee Park. The whole point of this is that the area is being privatised. We're being made to pay to use what was once free, what was always free. And just last week, over on the river here, on the Lee Navigation, people living in narrow boats who have been going up and down the river, continuously cruising for years in this part of the world and are as much part of the local scene and the local community as the people who live in the flats in Clapton on the other side. They were told, you can't moor here for free anymore. The Lee Valley Regional Park has decided that that area of towpath is to be privatised. Those people now have to pay to moor, where previously they were able to live without having to pay. It's just a protection racket really. Pay us or we'll kick you off, move you on, call the police. The whole of Leyton Marshes is being slowly renamed. Walthamstow Marshes are taking over Leyton Marsh, the Jubilee Park and the golf course is just disappearing under yet more stabling. It's very sad. Of course, local people are not very happy about Leyton Marshes down here being lumped in with Walthamstow Marshes to the north, and there are groups that are trying to preserve all of the marshes, including Walthamstow Marsh, as free open space for everyone to enjoy and indeed for wildlife to thrive in. Some of the groups that you might like to get involved with are the New Lemmas Lands Defence Committee, first set up in 1892, or the Save the Leyton Marshes group. Both of those groups can be contacted through the Hornbeam Centre at 458 Hoe Street, East 17. And also both groups have websites. There are other groups as well, but those are the two main ones in this area. So thank you very much, and thank you for listening to me.